Warzone might have just changed forever. And no, that's not clickbait. The Warzone as we know it is gone. Call of Duty just put out a blog going over every change coming to Warzone next week. I'll be going over all of these changes, but there's one in here that is really controversial, and I'm curious to see what the community is gonna say. I'm gonna start off hot, and I'm gonna go over the most controversial topic right now in the Call of Duty community. And that is, for the first time since Cold War, we do not have a new Battle Royale map coming on launch. This year, for whatever reason, Call of Duty has decided to not release a Battle Royale map. And that is really concerning. Now, we do get a Resurgence map called Area 99, which I will go over right now. But a lot of the BR fans are wondering what's going on. It seems like things have shifted over the last couple years where Resurgence has kind of been Warzone's main focus. That could be due to player counts or maybe how easy it is to create new maps. I'm not too sure, but one thing is certain, Warzone has made it very clear what their goals are. Now, Call of Duty not adding a BR map definitely does sound weird. Now, what makes things even more weird is that a new Warzone map has already leaked. This is a Battle Royale map called Avalon. The big question that everybody's wondering is why are we not getting Avalon during the launch of the game? As you guys know, Verdansk is coming back in March. So the only conclusion I have here is that they had to decide, do they bring Avalon, a brand new map, or do they bring back Verdansk, a map that has been loved and cared for a long time? I'm gonna go ahead and assume that Verdansk is being held till March to try to hit that March 10th anniversary window. That is more than likely why we will not be getting a new Battle Royale map, but we do get a Resurgence map. So without further ado, let me get into everything coming to Warzone November 14th. Call of Duty has just revealed the new Area 99 trailer, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little skeptical on this. Area 99 is a Resurgence map inspired by Nuketown. They describe Area 99 as this: set against the unrelenting heat of the Nevada desert, Area 99, or more specifically, the Echo Ridge Weapon Station, was a top secret government site constructed in the 1950s, concealed from the public just miles away from the original Nuketown testing site. Designed to push the bounds of radiation testing and cement American dominance, the entire region was subsequently abandoned after an unfortunate reactor leak, and the project erased by the government. Here's the minimap and the general overview of Area 99. Let's go over each POI one by one. The first POI is Mannequin Assembly. This is pretty much exactly as it sounds. It's on the right side of the map, and it's an assembly to make mannequins for Nuketown. The next POI is Test Site. Located on the north side of the map, this has the OG Nuketown buses, and honestly, I think this probably will be a hot POI. Next is Bunker, and exactly as it sounds, it is a bunker on the north side of the map. Now, the main POI that I think everybody's gonna be dropping on is Reactor. This is dead center in the middle of the map. Reactor has zip lines on the outside, zip lines on the inside, and it's gonna make for a lot of verticality fights. This will probably be that central hub where you're fighting in and out of, and then using this POI to get to other POIs. Expect this to be the new Tilted Towers. Speaking of towers, the next POI is Cooling Towers. This is on the right side of the map, and honestly, I didn't really like this POI when I played it. The next POI is Warehouse or Factory. This one will be a hot drop. When playing it at Call of Duty Next, this had a lot of loot and was honestly really fun to play. Connected to Warehouse is Manufacturing. These are two POIs pretty much that are one. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and put these together. These two will be really hot, and if you're looking for action and looking for really good loot, this is where you wanna land. Next is Loading Bay on the outskirts of the map. This has one of the floating Nuketown houses and doesn't really make for a lot of crazy engagements. I don't see many people landing here. Next is Nuketown Shipping, which is a bunch of broken down buildings from Nuketown. Again, set on the outskirts of the map. Now, my personal favorite POI is Pods. This is supposed to be where the workers of Area 99 lived in during this time. I really like this POI because there was a lot of finesse involved in the fights, and I do think this also will be a hot drop. That is Area 99, and that is the only new map coming to Warzone. So people are probably wondering, what's gonna happen with BR? Let's get into that. We will be keeping the same map as last year, Extend in BR, but we will have all the new movement systems, all the new implementations coming to Extend. So in theory, things will feel like a new game. And let me tell you, these changes are definitely new. The one downside to Extend coming back, and I do appreciate the transparency, is they said they had a little bit of difficulty moving the Omni movement system and all the new systems into Extend, that they had to use an old version of Extend. So before Popov was blown up, before Superstore was even in Extend, we will have that version of Extend. And I know Rebirth Island is a fan favorite amongst many people, but sadly, Rebirth Island will be gone. Now, not for long, it's looking like only a couple weeks, but for the first couple weeks, Area 99 will be the only map available for Resurgence. Now let's get into the new things. We've gone over Resurgence, we've gone over BR, but there's one more game mode that people have been dying for, and that is Ranked BR. Over the last year, for whatever reason, Warzone took out BR Ranked and they replaced it with Resurgence Ranked, which in my opinion was one of the worst game modes ever. But finally, in season 1.5, Ranked BR is back. And honestly, this has some pretty dope rewards. And finally, we've been asking for it, a reward for the #1 player in the world. These right here are all the rewards you get from season 1.5 of Ranked Play. As you can see, it's the same as always. You get every single reward. The only difference is, with the exception of top 250, you get your reward immediately after hitting that rank. So for example, as soon as you hit Iridescent, you unlock that skin, as opposed to last year where you had to wait till the season to end. Now, top 250 and champion is different because you don't know who's the #1 player or who is top 250 until the end of the season. And can I add that the champion skin is absolutely insane. Shout out my boy Ty. Now that we've gone over modes, let's go over the bread and butter of Warzone and the things that are actually gonna make the biggest difference, and that is loadouts. First and foremost, what I wanna say is the new UI is so pleasing to the eye. And I'm so glad that we're done with this Hulu UI system. Modern Warfare 2 ruined a lot, and I'm glad to see things finally going back to the old school style. So for loadouts, if you're an OG Warzone player, things might look similar. So let's go over it. In the new loadouts, you're allowed 1 primary weapon, 1 secondary weapon, and then something brand new coming to Warzone is a mandatory melee spot. This pretty much means that you are allowed to use an AR, a submachine gun, and then also a knife. You can pull out your knife at any point and it gives you infinite attack sprint. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be insane cosmetics with butterfly knives and things like that. You're also allowed a tactical, a lethal, and then 3 perks. But the one thing that would change the game for Warzone is the wild card implementation. So going over primary weapons, this consists of assault rifles, battle rifles, SMGs, shotguns, LMGs, marksman rifles, sniper rifles, and your melee weapon. And when it comes to your secondary weapon, this consists of pistols and launchers. Now let's move on to the tacticals. The big question every year is what tacticals will be coming from the game to Warzone. So here are the tacticals coming. We will have the flashbang grenade, the concussion grenade, the smoke grenade, experimental gas grenade, snapshot grenade, shock charge, decoy grenade, neuro gas, stim shot, and spy camera. Here's a chart if you want to go ahead and screenshot it of when you unlock each individual tactical. Next, let's move on to lethals. For lethals, you'll have a frag grenade, your sticky Semtex grenade, an impact grenade, a Molotov cocktail, a drill charge, a thermal barrett grenade, C4s, blast trap, spring mine, throwing knife, and combat axe. I think the only 2 different ones here are the impact grenade, which pretty much blows up on impact, and the blast trap. Here's what level you unlock each individual one of these. Now the next thing is field upgrades and kill streaks. Now pay attention because these are different. For field upgrades, we'll have munition blocks, heartbeat sensor, deployable cover, portable radar, deployable buy stations, decontamination station, trophy system, armor boxes, reinforcement flares, loadout drops, scrambler, war cry, balloon extract, utility box, PRBs, which is portable redeploy beacon, recon drones, PRDs, which is portable redeploy drone, and the morphine injector. One thing I do want you to know is the deployable buy station. Normally, these are called portable buy stations. So I'm curious if changing the name from portable buy station to deployable buy station makes it so that way, instead of having to deploy a buy station with a smoke grenade and the buy station comes in, you can just deploy it manually. Now for kill streaks. These are your UAVs, counter UAV, advanced UAV, precision airstrike, bunker buster, supply UAV, a care package, cluster strike, sentry turret, SAM turret, foresight, and napalm strike. The new ones here are the care package, the SAM turret, and the napalm strike. One thing to add with the care package is you do have a chance of getting specialist bonus, which we will go over right now. So moving on to perks and wildcards, which definitively will change everything when it comes to Warzone. As of right now in Warzone, you're allowed 2 primary weapons. You can get your submachine gun and you can get your AR at the same time. This is no longer the case. Wildcards are probably going to be the most important thing in the game, and the way that you utilize these is going to determine how good you are at Warzone. So we're back to the pick 3 system as opposed to the pick 4 that we had before. The whole point of this was Call of Duty wanted to have less perks, but wanted each perk to be more valuable. A new thing coming to Warzone is lootable perks. We have seen this back in Caldera, but for some reason that was taken away. We now have our 3 regular perks, and then we also have a pool of lootable perks that you can pick up during the game. Without further ado, let's go over each perk. For perk slot 1, which are the blue perks, we'll go over all 6 here. The first one is reflexes. This is triggered explosives have a delay when sprinting past them. Veteran perk, reduce the negative effects of some enemy equipment. While aiming down sight, reduce flinching and extend hold breath duration. The Grenadier perk, explosive damage slows enemy health regeneration and movement speed. Throw equipment farther and see a preview of the trajectory. Dexterity, reduced weapon motion while jumping, sliding, and diving. Take less fall damage. This one will be meta. Scavenger. Start equipped with the maximum reserve ammo for your primary weapon, resupply ammo equipment, and plates from dead enemies. And then lastly, Survivor. Start regenerating health more quickly. Your allies revive you faster when you're downed. So for anybody who has that bot friend, this is for them. Tag them down below. Moving on to perk slot 2, which are the red perks. Here are the 6. Quartermaster. Recharge equipment over time, 50 seconds. This is pretty much restock. Bomb Squad. Reduces incoming explosive and fire damage. Spot enemy equipment and kill streaks through walls. Shout out Diaz Biffle. Tracker. See enemy footsteps. Bullets you fire briefly mark an enemy for you and your squad. Enemies that down you are automatically pinged. Now this one is broken. This is Combat Scout with Tracker. The next perk is Sprinter, which we've been asking for so long. You can tactical sprint indefinitely. Thank you, it's finally here. Cold-Blooded, undetectable by AI targeting and thermal optics. Prevents some enemy recon perks and effects. And lastly, Quick Fix. Killing enemies or inserting armor plates immediately start health regeneration. Can insert armor plates one-handed. I'm curious to see what that exactly means. Maybe we might get the zombies animation of putting on armor, which is faster. And finally, for perk slot 3 are the yellow perks. Gung Ho. Reduce movement penalties when reloading or using equipment. Reload while tactical sprinting. Resolute. Taking damage from gunfire provides a boost to movement speed for a short duration. Ghost. Undetectable by enemy radar pings while moving. Cannot be detected by some devices. Bird's Eye. UAVs you call in are 25% larger and show the heading of the enemy for your squad. Detects players with Ghost. Tempered. Refill armor plates to full with 2 plates instead of 3. And finally, Alertness. Sense when enemies are nearby. Tell when you are being aimed at by the enemy. This is pretty much high alert. Before moving on, I want to go over Gung Ho really quick. During Modern Warfare 3, we were giving a set of perks by default, and Gung Ho was one of them. Now, I want to pay close attention to the verbiage of Gung Ho here. It says reload while tactical sprinting. What I think that means is, by default, we might have reload while regular sprinting, just not tactical sprinting. So that poses the question, in the Warzone that we have right now, whenever you reload while running, are you reloading while sprinting or reload while tactical sprinting? I asked this question to a couple of the Warzone pros, and not even they knew. So we'll wait to see how this plays out. Finally, for wild cards, I'm gonna go over each and every single one of these, and then after I wanna show you how big of a difference these are going to make Warzone. First and foremost is Overkill. This is equip 2 primary or secondary weapons. Next is Bandolier. Your loadout provides ammunition satchel. Next is Gunfighter. Equip 3 extra attachments to your primary weapon from 5 to 8. And lastly is Battle Ready. Your loadout provides a UAV and a utility box. Okay. Why am I so adamant about these wildcards changing the game? This technically makes things harder than the current Warzone that we have now, but it also makes for extreme levels of upgradability. Let me explain. Imagine you grab your first loadout and you get Overkill. So you get your primary and your secondary. So then as you continue to play and you progress your game, you end up getting enough money to buy a gun with Gunfighter wildcard attached to it, which then means you can then substitute your gun with 5 attachments to now an 8 attachment gun. Now think about it. You do that to your primary, but you can also do that for your secondary. Imagine having a crazy game where you have an 8 attachment primary and an 8 attachment secondary. So then you go and grab a class with Battle Ready. This gives you a utility box and a UAV. But one thing I notice about Warzone now is that everything kind of feels the same. Go into the game, you get money, you get your loadout, and then you go get kills, which is not a bad thing. But one thing I do miss about OG Warzone, I'm talking Modern Warfare 2019 Verdansk, is that there was the ability to make plays. If you wanted to have Ghost off rip, you could only carry 1 primary. Or if you wanted to have Overkill, you could have Overkill, but you would be pinged on enemy UAVs. So it was kind of a give and take. Now more than ever, I think that is back. You can choose. Can I start off with an 8 attachment AR, but I only have a pistol as my secondary? Or you can grab Overkill, but those guns have only 5 attachments. Overkill no longer being default is going to force players to choose what they actually need in the game. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to interpretation. So moving on to lootable perks. On top of the regular perks coming to the game, there is something new called lootable perks, and it's exactly as it sounds. These are perks that you can pick up off the ground that you find. You can carry up to 6 of these. 4 of these lootable perks are one of those pick 3 perks that I mentioned earlier. But 2 of these perks are lootable only perks, which means you cannot find them in the pick 3 system that I mentioned earlier. These 2 perks are Irradiated and Shrouded. Irradiated is while under the effects of the gas circle or equipment, you will move faster, take reduced gas damage, and can insert armor plates. Shrouded is you drop a smoke grenade when entering the down state. For some added clarification here, if you die, your lootable perks are gone. These you cannot pick up from ground loot, but your pick 3 perks are still lootable and you can still pick those off the ground. So make sure you don't die if you have a lot of lootable perks. At the start of season 1, there'll be 4 lootable perks from the pick 3 system. Every season throughout the year, they will interchange between 4 different other ones. So expect this to always try and stay fresh. And yes, it is back. I mentioned it earlier, Specialist perk, which gives you every single perk in the game. One of the most broken things ever is back. This gives you 20 perks. The 18 pick 3 perks and the 2 lootable perks. And if you die with this does drop. So enemies will be targeting you. That is a general overview of loadouts. Now let's move on to the foundation of the game, things such as movement and the inventory system. For those of y'all who don't know, Omni movement is the movement system from here on out. In my opinion, it's one of the best movement systems that I've ever played. Pretty much, you can run in any single direction. You can run forward, left, right, and backwards. You can dive forward, sideways, backwards. You can slide left, right, forward, backwards. This turns regular gunfights into what I consider 3D gunfights. The possibilities are really endless in my opinion with Omni movement, and I think we're only scratching the surface. And give it a year and we're gonna see some crazy stuff. But please, to anybody who's intimidated by that, don't be. At the end of the day, hitting your shots matters. People can have this crazy movement, but if they don't hit their shots, it doesn't matter. One quick thing to know is that emotes and sprays are back. I don't know if you guys can recall, but squad wiping a team, then whipping out your emote of a cigar was oddly satisfying. So emotes are back and sprays. I remember spraying my homies all in red to try to get them killed back in Verdansk. These are returning in the Warzone integration. Moving on to inventory, which is something that we all have been asking for. When Modern Warfare 2 came out, everybody absolutely hated the backpack system. Myself included, backpacks was one of the worst things in the game, period. So for the Warzone integration, they're making things much more simpler, which I am incredibly happy about. Like back in Verdansk, this is pretty much just basic. Here is a picture of how your inventory is gonna look. You have your cash on hand, your gas mask, your armor plates, your kill streaks, your field upgrades, your primary gun, your secondary gun, your melee weapon, your ammunitions for your ARs, SMGs, shotguns, snipers, and then finally your launchers. We can no longer carry 5 smokes, 6 stuns, 3 kill streaks. I personally love this. I love this because it makes things a lot more simpler. Sometimes when you overcomplicate things, it doesn't always make it better. And I think Modern Warfare 2 is a big example of that. When it comes to the inventory system, the biggest concern for me was how many plates am I going to be able to carry and how much ammo am I going to be able to hold? But they did think of this as well. Satchels have returned, but in a different way than what we've had them before. There will be an armor satchel and a munition satchel, which is pretty straightforward. An armor satchel is going to let you hold more armor plates than what you originally were able to. And a munition satchel is going to let you hold more ammo than what you originally were able to. These satchels will drop upon death, so make sure whenever you kill somebody in game, you look down and see if you can pick these up. And finally, let's go over the prestiging and the progression and how all that's going to work in Warzone. I've been getting this question asked a lot on stream, and it's how is prestiging going to work when it comes to Warzone? You will start from level 1 and have to work your way up to level 55. As you progress through these levels, you'll be unlocking different things in Warzone, whether that be guns, equipment, lethals, tacticals, etc. Once you hit level 55, you have the option to prestige. For those of y'all that don't know what prestiging is, it resets your level back down to 1, but you get some rewards because of it. I am personally Prestige Master. Yes, make fun of me, it's okay. And I've been absolutely grinding Black Ops 6. I will say the grind is absolutely insane, but I love a lot of these rewards. One common question I get is what happens to your weapons whenever you prestige. So I'll explain it here. Prestiging your rank pretty much resets your level back to 1, but it does not reset your weapon levels back to 1. It does not reset your progress towards camos or your progress towards your reticles. All this simply does is relock those weapons again. For example, if the AK-47 gets unlocked at level 8, you then have to rank up from 1 to 8 to be able to use that AK-47 again. Whenever you unlock the AK, you'll have all the attachments that you've used before. I will say one of the biggest issues with this game right now is that weapon leveling is incredibly long. So I do think a lot of people will not be prestiging. Just to give you an example of how long this weapon leveling system actually is, I am Prestige Master. That means I prestige 10 times level 55, and I've completed the multiplayer mastery camo, and I still don't have all of my guns max level. I put in 100+ hours into this game, and I still don't have all my guns max level. I don't really know what's going on here, and I do think this is a huge concern. The developers at Call of Duty really need to figure this out because most people only have 2 to 3 hours a day to play the game. How do they expect them to ever max their weapons? Moving on to the next thing, and one thing that I've been asking for so long, and it's finally here, is a Warzone weapon mastery camo grind. For the first time ever, you will be able to load into Warzone and work towards camos specifically for Warzone. The same way how multiplayer has Dark Matter, how Zombies has Nebula, Warzone has its own camo. These mastery camos are as such. There is Gold Tiger, there is King's Ransom, which is animated. There's Catalyst, which is also animated. And finally, after completing all the challenges for every single gun on Warzone, you get Abyss. I will say I'm a little let down by this camo. I thought it'd be a lot cooler. I hope they kind of fix it and make it more animated, or make it seem somewhat more special, because Nebula is fire, Dark Matter is fire, and I just feel like Abyss just doesn't hit. With the introduction to Season 1, there will also be a lot of new guns coming. The first gun is the Krieg, which is an assault rifle. This is a high damage, average handling assault rifle that I think could probably be used for the close range to medium range. It's kind of like the Krieg from back in the day, but just a more compact version. The next gun is the SOG SMG. This gun has an insane rate of fire, has amazing handling, and is pretty much built for hip firing. Next is the Maelstrom shotgun. This is a fully auto shotgun, and why they keep doing this to us, I have no idea. Get shotguns out, man. I'm sorry if you like shotguns. I hate them. The next gun is the AMR Mod 4. This is a sniper rifle, which pretty much is just a Barrett 50 cal. It's not a Call of Duty unless they got the Barrett in there. Moving on to the secondaries is the Sarin 9mm. This is a fully automatic pistol that has SMG characteristics, but it does have a slower rate of fire. We also have some new melee weapons. We have a power drill and we have a cleaver. One thing to add about melee weapons is you can hold these at any time during any of your games. So expect some really cool cosmetics here. And lastly, we will have some specialty weapon attachments coming in Season 1. We have the 12 gauge Dragon's Breath, which is pretty much a fire mod for shotguns. We have the buffer weight stock. This is for the XM4 assault rifle, the XMG LMG, and the DM10 marksman rifle. It's a stock attachment that has a lot of recoil control, but it's going to take a lot longer to ADS, and moving while ADS is really slow. Then we have a burst fire conversion kit for the XM4. Why this is needed, don't really know. And a burst fire conversion kit for the Compact 92. To wrap up the video, here are some operators and skins coming to the game on Warzone launch November 14th.